my scent of the day today, and actually the review that I'm going to do for you, is mi2 from NB Parfums. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to apply it. And just tell you for now that it's a rose based fragrance, but I'm going to tell you more once I've worn it a little bit longer today. Morning, it's Tuesday now, so yesterday I didn't get a chance to stop and tell you anything about mi2. I didn't get a lunch break, it was manic at work, and so I'm starting again today. I didn't even get a chance to write down any notes, although I do have it pretty clear in my head exactly what I want to tell you about how this perfume smells. But for today, I'm just going to wear it, lots of it, because I love it. Let's just give you the opening smell. When you first spray it, you can tell immediately it's a rose fragrance, but it does not smell like a old-fashioned hand cream or talc kind of rose smell. It's not an innocent rose in that way. There is a freshness to the rose, and there's raspberry in here, which makes the rose smell fruity. So it doesn't smell like, oh, there's raspberry. It's not like that. It's like the raspberry and the rose are dancing together, and all you can smell is a lovely fruity rose concoction. It's really, really nice, and there's a freshness to it, but it's not super fresh, hyper fresh, just an ethereal freshness to the rose. Maybe there's even a touch of a sweetened coffee note. Now that is certainly not mentioned in the notes, and I don't think that is how it's supposed to be interpreted, but I definitely do get that. So rose with a hint of coffee and a fruitiness is how it opens up to me. So here's my update on mi2. I finally managed to get myself a lunch break, yippee! So I am on my way to the shops. I'm going to get a nice little sandwich for myself, but in the meantime I thought I'd stop in this park and give you the notes of the fragrance. So the notes are clove, cinnamon, mandarin, grapefruit, bergamot and orange. So quite a few fresh notes and some spicy notes at the same time. You've also got rose, jasmine and sandalwood, white musk, amber, incense, benzoin and vanilla. What I really get from the fragrance, as I said, to start with, very much a lot of a fruity rose. So the raspberry and the rose combined, beautiful fruity rose. Some might say jammy, and I can understand. You can imagine roses and raspberries squished together and made into a jam, even with a little bit of some sugar perhaps to sweeten it up just a little bit. And as I mentioned, I do get a hint of coffee, just a very light black coffee feel that just smells so lovely with the jammy rose. Now as it develops on my skin, the rose always remains throughout the whole wearing of the fragrance. I noticed that about 3 hours in, I really started to notice the spices, which I adore. It's a dry cinnamon woodsy thing that is really lovely, combined with the rose, and then you also start to get the incenses. So the benzoin, incensey smells start to come out later on in the wearing of the fragrance. I would say I notice it only after 3 to 4 hours it starts to get incensey. The vanilla is very understated throughout. I get a smooth, a very expensive smelling hint of vanilla in there. It is completely suitable for men and women. The fragrance would work for any occasion. Oh, something's biting my foot. I think it must have been an ant. Bad ant. So it's not a really loud fragrance. I'm getting a halo of aroma around me, but it's very gentle. It is not strong and heavy and just forcing itself up my nose. It's just a light halo, beautiful whiffs of the fragrance that I'm getting throughout the day. I probably wouldn't pick it for a very noisy, busy, loud situation. It feels suited for a more gentle affair. Just emanating an aura of something a little bit special. I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'll come back to you with the full review in 2 ticks. Hi everyone, I'm so excited to bring you this review. Me2. There's the bottle. So as you can see, it's M-I and a 2, Me2, and it's beautiful. I've not been this excited about a perfume since SP Parfums Powder and Dust. If you know me and you've watched my videos, you know how much I love Powder and Dust. This has got me as excited. Let me show you first of all the box that it comes in. For those of you that are interested in boxes, that's the box. Now, within the box, there is a paper insert with some really lovely messages. Now, these are messages from the angels, and they're various quotes, some from the perfumer, who is Nanne Bailey, and also from other sources. So I did find one that was really lovely here. It says, "We are all angels, but with one wing. We can only fly when we embrace each other," and that's by Luciano Crescenzo. So really nice, lovely, warming messages within the box along with the perfume. Let's talk about the perfume. So the perfume is Nanne Bailey, as I said. She is based in Berlin in Germany, and the fragrance itself is completely inspired by her own experiences with angels. So she's told me some experiences that she's had throughout her whole life. Very early in her life as a child, she had an angel appear to her that helped save her dad's life, believe it or not. I think something was about to fall on him. He was trying to do something, and she saw this angel that came to her and was able to warn him, and he was able to get out of the way. And ever since then, she's had many experiences with angels. She often smells rose when there can be no possible source of rose, that scent of rose, anywhere around her, and she feels that this is the presence of angels, which I think is a really lovely background, and what a great muse for a fragrance. Something inspired by faith, love, beauty, angels. I mean, what's not to love about that concept? I wanted to give you my overall impression and review of this fragrance. So how it starts on my skin. Now I'm just going to do a little refresh over this. I am wearing it tonight. I've been wearing this a lot, so I've only had this around about a month, and I've already made that dent in it. And that is because I really love this fragrance. So in the top you have various citruses. They give it a real vibrant and fresh feel. And I can't specifically pick out what citruses they are, because they're just kind of sharp and fresh and very zingy and slightly sweet. When you know what's in there, you understand, oh okay, yeah, grapefruit, and I know there's grapefruit in there, and I recognise the grapefruit in there because I know it's in there. But if you didn't know it's in there, you would just say, what a lovely fresh opening. But you do straight away smell the rose. You don't have to wait for the rose. The rose is the main player in this fragrance from start to finish. The rose is the star, the starlet. The rose is the starlet, the leading lady. Beautiful all the way through. The rose smells jammy and fruity, and I think that's probably the combination of the citrusy fruits also with the raspberry note. So it's a really delectable rose jam kind of smell. And the rose kind of gets fruitier and slightly darker as you wear it. And the fresh top notes just gently sort of calm down, as you would expect from citrus top notes. What I love about this fragrance is the way that it changes on your skin. It's a thing that I really appreciate in any perfume, is if it changes on my skin, if it takes me on a journey, if it finishes somewhere different to how it started, that keeps me interested all day long, because I'm a fickle little girl, and I can get bored. Even the most beautiful fragrances, if they don't change very much on my skin, by the end of the day I feel like I want to smell something different. And whenever I wear this fragrance, I never feel like I wish I was wearing something different. I never feel like I need to spray something else now, I'm bored of that. It just doesn't happen, because it keeps on changing, and not in a roller coaster kind of way, not in a difficult to understand kind of way where you think, how on earth does it smell like that when it smelled like that earlier? Not like that at all. So the fragrance has these gorgeous spices in there. There's cinnamon and clove. Clove gives it a little bit of a powdery edge, and the cinnamon is a kind of dry and woodsy, and in places when it gets to its spiciest, which is sort of a couple of hours in or so, it actually reminds me of a fragrance called Spice and Wood by Creed. You may be familiar with it. I'm not saying it smells exactly like it, but it does give me that memory of that particular scent, which I adore, by the way. It's just the way that the woodsy spice is coming through, but you still always have the rose. The rose is the shining star, but accompanied by really talented co-stars, a whole range of different co-stars come and go throughout this whole show, and that's what I really love. So I would say maybe the spicy part, when it gets its most spicy, that's probably when I really love it the absolute most, but I love it all the way through. In the base there is some white musk and some incense. You can kind of smell it along with the spices and the woodsiness and the lovely jammy rose, but it's a subtle incense. There's also vanilla in there, and again, it's quite subtle vanilla. It is not a gourmand fragrance. It is a spicy rose, maybe amber kind of fragrance, but the vanilla's light and it's not going to annoy anyone. This is not an overly sweet fragrance. It's a fragrance that can be worn by men as well as women. I have a feeling women will love it, more women will love it perhaps than men, because a man has to be very comfortable in his own skin and comfortable wearing sweeter or a more floral fragrance. So not every guy is going to want to wear this one, but I know a lot of guys that will rock this fragrance in the fragrance community. If you're open-minded and you enjoy wearing rose fragrance and you couple it up, it's so well balanced with the spices and the woodsy notes that it is not an overtly feminine fragrance, so do not worry about that. There is jasmine in this fragrance, but I can't pick it out, and the jasmine is not supposed to be dominant. It is supposed to give sparkle to the rose, so I can kind of understand that. So don't be worried if you're not a jasmine lover. Don't let that put you off. The jasmine is just adding an effect rather than being a starring person. The star is the rose. No one's going to argue with that. The fragrance concentration is Eau de Parfum Intense, and it's actually 25% fragrance oils. So it's stronger than your average perfume in the shops, and I get a really good longevity from it. It's not a loud fragrance. It's noticeable for, I would say, it's projecting for around 4 to 5 hours, so that it's noticeable as I move around, and then it starts to get closer to the skin, and it acts like the angelic halo. So it's giving you that aura of a gorgeous scent, but it is not going to be knocking out your friends and colleagues as you enter the room. It's not going to announce your entrance into a room, but if someone's lucky enough to be in your presence, then they will get to enjoy that gorgeous smell. Now, going back to Angels, I can kind of see how this fragrance is about angels and inspired by angels, because how I feel is an angel doesn't really belong to the sky, and it doesn't really belong to the earth. An angel, if it's visiting, would be somewhere in between, and this fragrance has this ethereal rose and this earthy cinnamon woodsy note, so it's like earth meets sky, so I can really see how angels will be represented by that. So I did ask Nanne Bailey what rose she uses in the fragrance, and she told me it's the Damascena rose, so I'm going to put a little bit of information about the Damascena rose just there. Now the other thing I wanted to tell you is the fragrance brought to mind quite a few different fragrances throughout its stages of me wearing it. It just brings to mind different fragrances. Not that it's a clone, not that there's anything else out there exactly like it, but I wanted to list for you some fragrances that if you really like the fragrances I'm now going to list on the screen, then there's a really high chance you are going to love this fragrance, because it has parts of the journey of this fragrance has similarities to parts of these other fragrances that I'm listing on the screen. So it's just really to give you an idea. If you like everything that I'm listing on the screen, you will like mi2. If you don't like any of it, then it's not going to be the fragrance for you. So important information, you can purchase mi2. Currently you need to email Nanne Bailey directly. She is able to ship worldwide, and the cost of the bottle is €139, and that's 50 mils, and that's the Eau de Parfum Intense. At the moment she's working with several companies to get herself in online shops. She'll be available in an online shop in United States, also in Berlin, and I believe she'll be you'll be able to purchase from her website at some point in the near future. But for now, if you send her an email if you're interested, she can also sort out samples. Let me know what your favourite rose fragrances are, because I'm actually working on a top 10 rose fragrances, and I can confirm that this one absolutely has a place on that list. But maybe you can suggest for me other rose fragrances I need to be testing out, because I'm working on that list now, and that will be coming up in the next few weeks. So look who came along just for the end of the video. I got video bombed, so Sweetie is just going to say thank you to everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Say bye bye, Sweetie. Bye bye, everybody. Open your eyes, Sweetie, look. There you go. You look like weirdos.